It's a great question, and I hear it a lot because people want. Yeah, they want it to work, and but they want it to work the right way. They don't want you to roll over and not stand on principle. Yeah, they want you to stay consistent with your principles. I mean, how am I going to make it work? I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to take the votes that I know my neighbors and friends and fellow Iowans want me to take, that makes sense for the United States and makes sense for Iowa. You're going to have 6 years to demonstrate what you're doing and whether you're doing it right. And folks like you that vote will determine. I don't know how we've gotten in a situation where I was telling a story earlier where we continue to return the same people in Iowa to the U.S. Senate. When I graduated from high school in 1988, I just had my 25-year class reunion. And when I graduated, it was Governor Branstad, Senator Harkin, and Senator Grassley. And I just don't understand. I've never understood how Iowa can send Senator Harkin and Senator Grassley to the same U.S. Senate and think that they're both doing exactly what you said, making it work. But I'm going to take my core principles and apply those to the issues of the day and do what I think is right. And
compromise with the best you can.
Really depends on what area. And I think where I'm coming, I think spending and the budget and the expansive nature of the federal government is the biggest issue and the biggest threat to our long-term well-being. And so that's where I would focus a lot of my effort, is poring over the budget, trying to find where there's waste, fraud, and abuse, trying to find where these federal programs that aren't doing good anymore. There's over 100 small business administration programs that we should. You want me to answer? Oh. So there's over 100 small business administration programs that need to be reconciled. And nobody's taking the time, instead of saying, well, how does this fit in to the overall what we're trying to do, they just pass another one. And I saw that prime example is, remember in the 1980s we had a big drug war, right? War on drugs. Nancy Reagan just say no, but you saw a really big staff up in all the U.S. attorney's offices with prosecutors. And we put about 90, I think the number is 90 federal prosecutors in Miami, because everybody was importing Colombian cocaine into Miami. Guess what? Those 90 federal prosecutors are still in Miami and still fighting Colombian drug cartels that aren't shipping through Miami anymore. And it's that kind of stuff, the legacy that just never gets reconciled. They just add more resources. And that's the constant refrain that we have to. Congress needs to quit delegating everything to the bureaucracy and start making those hard choices. So that's what I think. I can spend at times where I think I can make a difference, and I think it's the biggest threat.
Corruption.
Not necessarily corruption. It's really a lack of accountability.
Which can be.
Which can. I mean,
Maybe you can put something in a cookie jar so you can have as many cookies as you want.
look at the travel that the IRS executives. I just read about it in the paper. It's just a carte blanche. They don't think it's the taxpayers' money. They don't think it's your money. They think it's their money and that they should spend it as they see fit. And that's where I want to just hold them accountable. And I know in 2007, I believe, when I was U.S. Attorney, we got less money year over year. Not less growth. We actually got less money year over year. That's unheard of in the federal government. We were fighting 2 wars and there were other places the money could go. And I was happy to manage that. And we had to not make some hires, and we had to do more with less. And that's what we should have everybody in the federal government do. And I can't tell that the federal government's ever taken advantage of technology. It seems like the IRS, you can't email. Nobody has something you could upload a PDF to. I mean, it's just basic stuff in the federal government that we're still using the U.S. mail, and look at the U.S. mail. The Postal Service is completely I mean, that shows you an example where we give government a monopoly and they can't manage it. So I think we need to get the government under control and accountable to the people.
What about the IRS? What are your thoughts on that? What do you think? We should just get rid of the IRS?
Well, a couple things. One is, unfortunately, some form of the IRS is a necessary evil. Having gone through 1 year from being U.S. attorney and setting up a law firm and working for some conservative groups, I got audited. My firm got audited. And so I know, and I ended up fighting and paying zero more. So I know the power of the IRS. And I know that when they do things like targeting conservative groups, that's bad and that they need to be reined in. And now we're going to give them Obamacare to administer. Because even though it wasn't passed as a tax, the Supreme Court said it was a tax. So the IRS, the whole plan was for them to administer a lot of Obamacare through the penalties and taxes. We need to have them accountable. It can't be, and that's one of the bureaucracies in Washington D.C. that has very few regular people running it. I think the commissioner of the IRS is the only presidentially appointed position. There may be another one, but there's very few. So it is a long-term group that is run by bureaucrats, and they are unaccountable, from what I can tell, to the people. And that's where this thing continues to get off the track.
Subject with the juvenile home, the big scandal now, the juvenile home, put in one of the juveniles for a year in confinement. They have no accountability. Who should they be accountable to?
Well, ultimately, the administration is accountable to the executive. And in that case, that would be the governor. Yeah. I haven't read a lot about that. I'm trying to focus on federal issues. No, that's all right. But I can only fit so much into my brain right now. And yeah, and so
You're talking accountability, and
yeah.
there's no accountability.
Right. And there is oversight. There is oversight by the legislature too. And but the chief executive, whether it's the president or the governor, sets the tone for the administration. But you look at Obamacare as a prime example. There are over 1,000 delegations of authority where Congress says, we want you to take care of this issue or affect this program, but we're not going to tell you how. You just go figure it out. And I think it's that type of stuff where we've reached a tipping point where the bureaucracy has become empowered to run all these programs, and Congress has really not given them the direction to do it the way it should be done. And so and that's where I don't want to spend all my time in hearings, cross-examining members of the administration, but certainly being a former prosecutor taught me the skills to how to ask the questions and find out the answers.